मीडिएशन, आर्बिट्रेशन एवं कंसिलिएशन सेंटर द्वारा आयोजित समारोह में उपस्थित भारत के सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के न्यायाधीश माननीय न्यायमूर्ति अरविंद कुमार जी, पूर्व न्यायाधीश माननीय न्यायमूर्ति श्री जोसेफ जी, पूर्व न्यायाधीश माननीय न्यायमूर्ति वी गोपाल गौड़ा जी, केरल, कलकत्ता एवं मुंबई उच्च न्यायालय के पूर्व मुख्य न्यायाधीश माननीय न्यायमूर्ति मंजुला चेल्लूर जी, केरल उच्च न्यायालय के पूर्व मुख्य न्यायाधीश माननीय न्यायमूर्ति एस.आर. बन्नुरमठ जी, जैन यूनिवर्सिटी के चांसलर आदरणीय डॉक्टर चेनराज रायचंद जी, वरिष्ठ अधिवक्ता बीसी थिरुवेंगदम जी, बेंगलोर इंटरनेशनल मीडिएशन, आर्बिट्रेशन एंड कंसिलिएशन सेंटर के सम्माननीय सदस्यगण, विधि जगत के प्रतिष्ठित सदस्यगण, मध्यस्थता एवं पंचायत के क्षेत्र से जुड़े सभी विशेषज्ञ, सम्माननीय अतिथिगण एवं मीडिया के महानुभाव, मैं आप सबका सादर प्रणाम करते हुए अभिनंदन करता हूं। बेंगलोर इंटरनेशनल मीडिएशन, आर्बिट्रेशन एंड कंसिलिएशन सेंटर की 20वीं वर्षगांठ की आप सभी को एवं सभी पदाधिकारी, न्यायविदों, मध्यस्थों तथा सहयोगी संस्थानों को हार्दिक बधाई एवं शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। बेंगलोर इंटरनेशनल मीडिएशन, आर्बिट्रेशन एंड कंसिलिएशन सेंटर की 2 दशक की यात्रा समर्पण, विश्वास, उत्कृष्टता और निरंतर सेवा का प्रमाण है। पिछले 2 दशकों में इस संस्थान ने विवाद समाधान की प्रणाली को सुदृढ़ करने में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दिया है, जो प्रशंसनीय है। आज इस महत्वपूर्ण अवसर पर 2 डिकेड्स ऑफ मीडिएशन ब्रिज की डिवाइड विषय पर चर्चा की जाएगी। आज का यह विषय वर्तमान न्याय व्यवस्था की दिशा में महत्वपूर्ण कदम है। यह हमें याद दिलाता है कि समाज की सबसे बड़ी शक्ति कानून के साथ साथ संवाद, विश्वास और सहमति है। भारत की सभ्यता और परंपरा में विवादों के समाधान का आधार सदैव संवाद, सहमति और समन्वय का रहा है। हमारे वेदों में कहा गया है, कज्जध्वम संवद्धम सो वनाची जानताम, अर्थात हम साथ चलें, साथ विचार करें और एक दूसरे की भावनाओं का सम्मान करें और समझें। यही मध्यस्थता का मूल दर्शन है। हमारे गांवों की पंचायतें, परिवारों के बुजुर्ग, समाज के प्रतिष्ठित लोग सदियों से आपसी संवाद द्वारा विवादों का समाधान करते आ रहे हैं। भारतीय न्याय दर्शन भी मेल मिलाप और सामाजिक समरसता का पक्षधर है। मध्यस्थता वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की भावना का जीवंत स्वरूप है। इसकी सबसे बड़ी शक्ति यह है कि इसमें कोई विजेता या पराजित नहीं होता, दोनों पक्ष सम्मान पूर्वक समाधान तक पहुंचते हैं। यही भारतीय जीवन दर्शन की विशेषता भी है। आज पूरी दुनिया यह स्वीकार कर रही है कि विवादों का समाधान न्यायालय के साथ साथ मध्यस्थता से संभव है। मध्यस्थता ऐसी प्रक्रिया है जिसमें कानून के साथ साथ संवेदनशीलता, सहानुभूति और विश्वास भी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाते हैं। मध्यस्थता विवाद के समाधान के साथ साथ संबंधों को पुनर्स्थापित करती है। न्यायालय का निर्णय अधिकारों का निर्धारण करता है, जबकि मध्यस्थता विश्वास का पुनर्सृजन करती है। यही कारण है कि आज व्यापार, उद्योग, बैंकिंग, पारिवारिक विवाद, स्वास्थ्य सेवाएं, शिक्षा और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यापार सभी क्षेत्रों में मध्यस्थता का महत्व निरंतर बढ़ रहा है। यदि किसी देश में व्यावसायिक विवाद वर्षों तक लंबित रहते हैं तो निवेश प्रभावित होता है इसके विपरीत यदि विवादों का समाधान समयबद्ध और सौहार्दपूर्ण ढंग से होता है तो उद्योगों और निवेशकों का विश्वास बढ़ता है। इसी संदर्भ में मध्यस्थता की भूमिका अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण हो जाती है। यह व्यवस्था न्यायालयों का भार कम करने के साथ साथ आर्थिक विकास की गति को भी तेज करती है।
So today's program was to celebrate 20 years of mediation and also Bangalore International Mediation, Arbitration and Conciliation Center, and to felicitate the people who have been closely associated with the setting up the mediation center in Bangalore, including Honorable Justice Cyriac Joseph, who was the Honorable Chief Justice of the High Court of Karnataka at the point of time when the Bangalore Mediation Center was established, and who was closely associated with training mediators in the state of Karnataka. And also several other judges of the Honorable High Court of Karnataka, who were the senior judges at that point of time, who were closely involved with setting up the Bangalore Mediation Center, and also who are associated with the Bangalore International Mediation, Arbitration and Conciliation Center. And this program also marks the partnership between Bangalore International Mediation, Arbitration and Conciliation Center with the JAIN group of institutions with respect to training of mediators and training students, and also members who are associated with the JAIN group of institutions like the faculty also in the process of mediation and how mediation can be adopted. In fact, if you the note that was given by Honorable Justice Cyriac Joseph spoke about adoption of mediation in our everyday life. In the fact that mediation should not only be looked at as a profession or as a service that had to be carried out by trained mediators or people who are part of the legal fraternity or the judges as such. In fact, it has to be adopted by people in their everyday lives to avoid conflict altogether, and if at all there is any conflict that they come across, to resolve conflicts in a peaceful and amicable manner. Moving forward, these are only the first 20 years of mediation that were discussed and that were noted in today's program, and the further discussion that is going to be carried out in today's program, the panel discussions which are there, they will address the trend that is already set in the field of mediation and in the legal field, and how it is going to impact in the future, and what course can be taken, what course mediation itself can take in the future to further the resolve of dispute resolution through peaceful and amicable means, and also access to justice as such. And one of the most important features of today's program is the release of two books which have been written by Mr. B.C. Thiruvengadam, who's himself a senior advocate and trained mediator, and also a mediator, master mediator trainer. So one is his book, which is a commentary on the Mediation Act of 2023, and the other is a mediators training manual, which covers all aspects of what should be what kind of training should be imparted to mediators, and how mediation should be practiced as such. So this is the highlight of today's program. One of the main benefits of mediation is that it not only restores a relationship between the parties, but it also helps in resolving disputes in a timely manner and in a less expensive manner. Just take, for example, if there is a conflict between a group of people or between these two individuals as such, when they go to the court, they are faced firstly with the cost that is involved in filing the case, and what is the cost that is involved in the form of paying the court fees, in the form of paying the lawyers, in the form of all the time that is wasted when they go before the court, leaving all the work that they have to do. And apart from that, the time that is involved in resolving the dispute before the court is sometimes can be very long. It can take years and years together. There have been disputes that have come to the court and that have got resolved only after 30 or 40 years. In fact, there's a recent case of the Supreme Court, where a case filed in 1986 came before the court in execution proceedings in 2025. So it took almost 40 years for the matter to reach finality. And even when the court decides the matter, it does not naturally mean that a dispute also gets resolved. The conflict still remains between the parties, and the parties will never be at peace with each other, because the fundamental conflict between the parties is still there. And this is where mediation can make a lot of difference. A mediator is trained to firstly understand what is the conflict between the parties, make them sit together and encourage dialogue between the parties, what is called as samvad. So the dialogue between the parties is what is required to facilitate a resolution. The resolution is also supposed to come from the parties themselves. The mediator does not try to impose any resolution or an end to the conflict between the parties on their own. What they try to do is they try to bring out, by way of mutual dialogue, what could be the best way to resolve the dispute between the parties. And this kind of participative resolution of the dispute by the parties themselves is what gives a degree of finality to the resolution that is finally attained at the end of the mediation process, because the parties themselves would have worked out a resolution to the dispute, and it becomes a win-win situation for all the parties that are involved. There is no loser at the end of the mediation proceedings. If it is successful, both the parties or all the parties which are involved become winners, and they all become, or at the maximum possible, to the maximum possible extent, the relationship between them is restored, or in many cases it becomes better than what it was before the conflict arose. So mediation is something that has to be adopted by not only the legal professionals or people who are engaged in the justice delivery system in the country, but also people who come across any kind of conflict situation, be it domestic conflict, conflict with neighbors, conflict with people at the workplace, or conflict with colleagues or even friends. Mediation or the principles which are employed in mediation can help people in their day-to-day life in trying to not only avoid conflicts, but also how to resolve conflicts in a very amicable manner.
Thank you, sir.
So the mediators are independent. They are independent. They are not parties to the council, this thing. And they are just giving you advisors. They are not biased. They are aware. They are not biased. So mediators are trained, so they are not biased.
Thank you, ma'am.